Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to week 3. So there was a little bit of confusion on post and comment because I started them last week, and you had not necessarily built a portfolio. Like a half dozen of you have, but not everybody has. So here's what we want to do on the post and comments. After you've built your portfolio, this will be easy because you'll say, "I have a portfolio with the following securities," and then you'll list the securities and you'll dump that into ChatGPT. If you've not built your portfolio yet, you will this week. We'll get into that in a minute. But in the meantime, what you can do is just say, go to ChatGPT and say, like I did, what happened this week in the financial markets? So what it did is it gave me a summary, right? What happened last week and what's happened so far this week, right? And it'll give you, when you input like what shares you own, it'll give you way more detail. So the idea is not necessarily for you just to copy and paste to move along, right? The whole idea really is for you to read this and to begin to use ChatGPT as a tool to gather data in a much more efficient way. I know most of you are really, really busy, so you're not going to have time to listen to Bloomberg all day long, or you're not going to necessarily have time to, go and scour the papers for the websites for what's going on in the markets. So using ChatGPT is really helpful. And it's also a great tool. So like if an anomaly presents itself, like, oh my gosh, why was, this stock down this much? Or what happened? You can go to ChatGPT and it'll go pull off the resources for you. So when you build your portfolio, it'll be much easier. You're just going to want to tell it all the companies that are in your portfolio. But until then, you could just say, hey, what happened in the markets in general? So let's go back to this week, because the big thing that tends to cause a little bit of confusion is how do I build this portfolio, right? So you click the link and then you click this link and I'm already in, right? So the registration process is pretty easy. So what I did is I just opened up a different browser and I said, okay, pretend like I'm not, I don't currently have an account. So this is what you're going to get, right? You're going to click it. And there's going to be all this stuff. Oh, please join, subscribe. You want to go right here. It says for limited access, create a free registration account. Click right there. Boom. It's going to ask you for some information. They're probably going to ask you 10 times to pay them. Just keep moving on to the free. And you can't blame them. These guys are part of Dow Jones, and so they want to get paid. But we don't want to pay them. So just open up a free account, and then you will then get to this stage when you've finally got the account set up to where you'll then be able to see everybody. And you could see, I mean, I started off just doing great, right? And then not so much. Something happened. And so I'm in second place now. I lose every semester, but let's see what happens. Maybe I'll be able to pull it out. So once you've got you've got access to the account, adding to the portfolio literally is as easy as typing in a company name here. So you want to put in Google, Google will come up. And so, and then that's how you'll go in and build your portfolio. You got like $75,000 in order to go build a portfolio. And you can look at everybody else's too, like Gabriella here. And she's crushing so far, right? But then take a look at what she's got in her portfolio. Look how diversified that is. I love it. And she's got some Berkshire Hathaway and some Costco in there, Eli Lilly. What a beautiful portfolio. She's got some NVIDIA. I'm loving it. So great, well-diversified portfolio. And so you can see what your classmates are doing. And then you could scroll down, and so obviously Jonathan just sent his up, so he hasn't spent any money yet. Julian, we're off, and he's off by about 5% so far. And Meta, NVIDIA, definitely a lot more focused on technology here. But you can see what your fellow classmates are doing. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to monitor this on a regular basis. And hopefully ChatGPT will help you figure out, gosh, is it good for me to continue to own NVIDIA, right? Should I maybe own Google instead? Should I be moving away from hardware, which are the chips that they sell? Should I be looking at some of the companies that are going to be developing the software, and the software then will be selling, right? And what's the difference? Hardware, you got to constantly innovate and come up with new chips and new chips and new chips and new chips. And at some point, customers are kind of like, I'm good enough, right? I don't need the next latest greatest. So it's just like ordering, when you buy a laptop. It used to be, we were in the cycle of getting a new laptop every 2 years. Heck, I've had this same laptop for like 4 or 5 years. It works great. It works fine. So I don't need to continue to upgrade. That's the downside to the hardware business. Software, we tend to subscribe to software, right? We don't buy software anymore. And we subscribe to it, and we're going to subscribe to it for the rest of our lives. And how sad is that? So at some point, the AI story is going to shift from hardware, being the chips, to the software. And that's where the story is going to evolve. When does that occur? And it's really up to you in your opinion. So that's part of one of the discussions that you could have with ChatGPT. Hopefully, you're also going to have with your fellow classmates, and that there will be some debate. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that say, NVIDIA is going to be the biggest company in the world forever. And great, what's your argument for that? And do we think that NVIDIA at some point is going to get into developing software and services? I don't know about that, because then they'd be competing with their customers. But yeah, I'm up for the debate. So that's how you get your portfolio set up. So this week is still pretty mellow. We don't start getting too gnarly for about another week. And so hopefully this was really, really helpful. And make sure you watch these videos, because these videos really sort of fill in the blanks and help you really understand, like, what are bonds. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to create um, another video in a few minutes that's going to talk about how you can access bond yields, and so that as you start building portfolios in the next week or two, that you'll be able to maybe consider bonds. Thanks, everybody.